Preview season continues on here on Armchair Analysis, and today it is all about Texas Tech. This is a team that everybody's expecting to be a Big 12 championship contender, maybe even a college football playoff contender. We're going to kind of see whether that's fact or fiction here today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have finally hit 100 subscribers, which means there's a new goal, 150. Just keep plugging along by the 50s. I thank you all so much for all the support. We've done the majority of the growth, or at least a rapid amount of the growth over this last couple of months since April, and I just want to say thank you all so much for that. It's been cool to see this start to kind of build and work, and we don't just do previews here. We do all kinds of content all year long. At least that's the plan, because there's no proven history of all year long, but we are going to be a 365-day show. And it's all about college football here. You know, we'll include some college sports depending upon what we're talking about. But for right now, and at this time, it's all full steam ahead on the fall and college football season. So I thank y'all. Hopefully you guys will take this journey with me. And with that said, let's talk about Texas Tech. In 2024, this team went 8-4, 6-3. We're kind of a surprise team, really. We didn't know what to expect. Thought the defense would be a little down, and they certainly were not good. But we expected some interesting stuff from the offense, and we got it. We certainly got beyond our expectations. We got a top 5 scoring offense from this team last year. But this was a bottom 12 scoring defense last year, giving up almost as many points as they score themselves. They addressed that. Number 2 portal class, which is incredible, and the majority of it came from what they did defensively. They did some things on offense, too, to make it better, but they certainly went after defense and tried to build upon, again, a defense that certainly needed some help. Number 48 recruiting class, and their turnover margin per game last year was an even 0, sitting at 59th in college football. Joey McGuire, of course, leads this team into another year. Mark Leftwich as the offensive coordinator, Shieldwood as the defensive coordinator. And this team returns 6 starters offensively. And that's where we'll start, is with this offense. And it's all led by quarterback Baron Morton. Back once again. I believe this is year 3 now of him as the man in charge at quarterback. I'm really excited because we've seen a lot of really solid growth from him. And we've seen growth from the wide receiver rooms as well. I mean, we've had our share, I think, of really solid players in the wide receiver position. At running back, Quentin Joyner comes over from USC. Jacoby Williams will also join him in the backfield. I expect this to be kind of the 2 deep, and we'll see if there's a third who maybe breaks out. A wide receiver, you got Reggie Virgil coming in. Caleb Douglas and Coy Eakin, those 2 guys were starters last year. And then TJ West is a guy that I expect to really step up, play some really good football this year. There's a lot of wide receivers on this roster that I'm excited to see. We'll see how they build out, but for right now, I think that we know what Caleb Douglas is, we know what Coy Eakin is. We'll kind of see how everybody else fills in around. At tight end, I'm really excited to watch Terrence Carter Jr. He's a transfer coming over from Louisiana, and a guy that I think can really do a lot in the passing game and be a really solid player in the passing game. Hey, do you mind? Anyways, offensive line. 3 out of 5 players return from 2024. They bring in Howard Sampson from North Carolina and Hunter Zambrano from Illinois State. This team graded in the passing and pass blocking a 78, which is 12th out of 68 Power 4 teams. They graded 66.6 in run blocking. That was 27th out of 68. Overall, this offense, again, they averaged 37.6 points per game last year. That was 4th in college football. I do not expect a change there. I think that, if anything, that it may come down a little bit. It's hard to repeat numbers like that. But I don't really expect much change. I think this is still going to be a high-powered offense that likes to move the ball down the field and likes to do it fast. Overall, I don't have questions about the offense. I just don't, because we saw it last year, and it's really a fairly similar unit again this year. On the defensive side, they bring back 4 starters, 5 of 11 projected starters from the 2024 roster. And again, they did their work in the portal. And let's talk about that. Notable transfers. David Bailey from Stanford. He had 7 sacks and 8 quarterback hurries last year. He is the guy. When we're talking about moves that they made, David Bailey is the guy in this conversation. They were looking for somebody to kind of be that force on the line. They had Jacob Rodriguez last year, had 5 sacks. He led the team in sacks as a linebacker. You want that pass rush coming from the front. Now, obviously, they're a little more aggressive. They like to bring linebackers. But I think that having David Bailey, having Skylar Gill-Howard coming over from Northern Illinois as well, another guy that I'm looking at, I think it makes a really big difference in how this defense turns out and how they play. You got Romello Height coming over from Georgia Tech. I think he's going to be a really fun player to watch as well, coming over and joining this defense. And then Bryce Pollock from Mississippi State, going to be in secondary. Going to be a big deal. He was really, really solid last year for the Bulldogs. A very small bright spot for Mississippi State last year. Leaders returning from last year, it's really Jacob Rodriguez. It's his show on defense. I mean, he led the team in tackles. He had 127 tackles last year. 77 of those were solo tackles. That was the leader in college football last season in solo tackles. Tackles for loss, Jacob Rodriguez, 11. Sacks, Jacob Rodriguez, 5. Forced fumbles, Jacob Rodriguez, 3. You kind of get where we're going with this. Chapman Lewis, though, is the returning leader in interceptions. He had 3 last season. This team forced 11 fumbles and 14 interceptions last year as a unit. All in all, I think that there is improvement, and I think that that's going to make this team especially dangerous. Now, I didn't really buy into the hype as much as I looked at them until, and I do these previews, like, as I go, I'm looking into the team. That's why upsets can change. That's why picks can change over the course of this preview season. Nothing is set in stone. And this Texas Tech team certainly changed my mind. There's a couple other teams that have done that, but this team, I think, has done that certainly the best, because I was not really certain where I would land on them. It also helps that their schedule really workable. Really, I mean, this is a team that could certainly win 11 or maybe even all 12. Genuinely, they could go undefeated. But we'll see. Let's take a look at the schedule here in a second. First, though, let's talk about my thoughts on this team. What did I think when I went through this? And it was simple for me. This team addressed their needs in a big way. If the defense can improve, they just might be the contenders the media says they are. The college ball media has been all over Texas Tech. They've been all over a handful of teams. Texas Tech, Illinois. They've been on A&M a little bit lately. And if the defense does what they think they're going to do, if the defense can cut that down, and they're going to have a considerable cut down. It's not going to be, cut down to 30 points per game allowed. They're going to have to cut down probably to 25 points per game allowed to truly be who we say they are, only because the Big 12, these offenses are still explosive. We've seen an uptick in defense from this conference, led in charge mostly by Kansas State. But these teams have all still got really solid offenses and really tough to defend offenses in some cases. It's not going to be just show up and hey, if we can score 30 first, we're going to win. That's not going to be the way it's going to go anymore. And there's going to be a game where they struggled offensively. There's going to be multiple games, I think, where they struggle offensively to get things going. They have Arizona State on the road, Kansas State on the road. Houston's better. Utah's better. West Virginia, I think, is going to be really good by the time these two teams meet. So, how does this all come together for Texas Tech? Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule. And as it's up on your screen here, Texas Tech has, again, really light non-conference. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State. They get Utah and Houston on the road, sandwich in a bye week. They get Kansas at home. Again, I talked about Arizona State, K-State, and West Virginia on the road in the back half. But they do have Oklahoma State. They do have BYU and UCF even in this schedule. It's going to be interesting because BYU, we kind of have an answer on. We have an answer on what Jake Retzloff's future is probably going to be. So with all that said, let's go ahead and predict the schedule. I'm going to go ahead and throw 3 wins up. I don't need I don't really feel a need. I think Oregon State's going to be the toughest game here, and uh, let me say some more obvious for you. It's because of Malik Murphy. But I just don't believe that Oregon State's going to have what it takes to actually get an upset in Lubbock. So they'll start 3-0, a really solid start. They get Utah on the road, and I think at this point, Utah is just still going to be kind of figuring themselves out. They've got a lot of change, a lot of difference in this program. They're a team that I'm buying into more and more the more I look at them and the more I look at other teams in this conference. But I think that when it comes to Texas Tech, this is a good place to get them, an easy spot to maybe get a win. Maybe not an easy spot. That easy is wrong. You don't go to Rice Eccles and it'd be easy. But it's going to be probably the easiest place to beat Utah. You get a bye week. Then you go on the road to Houston to Space City Credit Union Stadium, I believe is what it's called. And I think they get a win here. I like this Houston team. I think they're improved, but it's just not going to be enough. I think they'll be rolling 5-0 and go ahead and throw 6 up there. They'll be 6-0 through the first half. This Texas Tech team is legit. I mean, beyond legit. And they are going to be really fun to watch. I think this offense is going to have it figured out. I think this defense is going to cut it down. Do I think it's going to be 25? No. I think they're probably going to cut down to maybe 27 points per game, which is reasonable. I mean, that's certainly probably going to buy them another win or two, just as it stands. But again, now we get to the second half of the season where the schedule, I don't think it's tougher, but it's certainly a little more interesting. Arizona State on the road in Tempe. I almost pulled this as the first loss, but I decided not to. I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a shootout of a game. I mean, we're talking, you got Jordan Tyson for Arizona State along with Sam Levitt. Baron Morton's going to have his guys running. This is going to be a fun game. I mean, we're talking, this literally is first team to 30 will win. I'm going to take Texas Tech to get it done. They'll get a solid win over Oklahoma State. And then a road trip to the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas, to face the Wildcats. And I think that this is going to be where the first loss comes into effect. I think that Avery Johnson's going to have improved this year and take care of the football better. And when we look at that, I think that the defense is going to be better. Just Kansas State's defense overall is going to be better than Texas Tech. So it'll take their first loss into account. You get 2 more games, and I would spend more time on both these, but I don't think either of these teams are going to be that good this year, especially given the news from BYU. So I'm going to give them 2 wins. And then we're going to go into the last game of the season out of a bye week. And if I'm not mistaken, because I did preview West Virginia recently here, West Virginia is also coming out of a bye week. So when we look at these 2 teams, the home field advantage, I think, is going to be a big deal. And I think it's also going to be important to note that, I mean, there's a coach, a brand new coach that's wanting to go out of this in the right way. And there's a team that's wanting to save their playoff hopes. I think the West Virginia defense is going to be questionable, and we're going to have to wonder whether or not they're going to get it done. But I think offensively, West Virginia is going to confuse Texas Tech and is going to make things difficult. And I think this game being in Morgantown, they are going to show up for the final game. They're going to show up for senior day. The crowd always does show up anyways, but senior day, they are going to be there. And I think that is going to put them over the top. And that's going to be the surprise game here for Texas Tech. They will lose to West Virginia, but they will finish 10-2, 7-2. I don't know what the rest of the conference looks like in terms of records and conference records, at least right now, because I haven't predicted everybody. But 10-2, 7-2 is the best we've had so far. There's not a team better. I'm excited to see where this lands them, personally, because I haven't seen any other schedules that are yet to come. I know I still have to preview Arizona State, certainly on this schedule. Still got to preview TCU, still got to preview Baylor. It's still a ways off before we are completely done. I mean, we still got just under a month to go before we finish up here with preview season. But with that said, 10-2, 7-2. If you're a Texas Tech fan or just a college football fan and there's something that I may have missed in previewing this team, let me know. It's possible. I do miss things from here from time to time, but I appreciate you guys in the comments and being here again. It's cool to see 100 subscribers up on the board now, but the goal is to continue growing. The goal is still to bring really good content, and the best way I can do that is to be correctly informed if there's something I do miss. I've had a lot of people mention different things to me, and I love it. I enjoy that conversation, those comments that go back and forth, and that's down there below. That's what it's for. This is for community. It's not for me to sit back and flaunt my wares about whatever I researched and what I may know or not know. It's just there to again kind of build a community, a sense of community here. So make sure y'all stick around. 1 p.m. every single day. We've had a couple days where that gets missed, and it's just due to my schedule essentially. The job that I work does not always allow for that, but we try my best, and hopefully y'all enjoy the content. So make sure if you're new around here, you leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Again, let me know what I may miss for Texas Tech. Stick around tomorrow, USC. We're going out to the West Coast, to the Coliseum, to talk about the Trojans and Lincoln Riley, who has seemingly improved his program, at least a little bit on the defensive side. We'll see. What do we expect for them? It's a team that's favored about 5th, I think, overall in Big Ten odds. We'll see where they land. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.